There's just something about men sleeping in that I can't stand.
All right, go ahead and add that one to the list.
Like, I get it, I'm the problem, whatever.
It's so refreshing to see someone that's actually self-aware that, yeah, they're the problem.
As a man, why are you still asleep?
Well, here's a thought. Maybe he's tired.
You should be outside mowing the lawn.
Just imagine the progress that could have been made on that lawn if someone else had decided to do something nice for another person, but instead they decided to make a video about them sleeping in.
So I just cannot, I don't know. Wake up. Why are you all dainty still laying in bed? Why are you still sleeping? Get up. Go clack in. Okay, go build a house. Go clean the grill. I don't know, find something to do. Wake up.
I really don't think that some women actually want equality. Or for that matter, maybe they just don't know what it means because they want all of the privileges that come with it. But heaven forbid they actually put in the same amount of work.
No, males are not choosing, but
Oh, yes, they are.
I do find it hilarious how they are all like, yeah, we're done with women. That's why we're all single, because we chose to be done with women.
You know, if someone tells you something often enough, maybe you should start believing them because, yeah, a lot of men are just completely done with dating.
You guys didn't choose that. You know you didn't choose that.
Oh, but they did. What exactly is so hard to believe about that?
You know that right now women are becoming really picky and not choosing men that all they do is bring a paycheck.
Like I said before, there's a lot of women that are very upset that a lot of guys are actually choosing to be single because they want all of the power for themselves and to be able to dictate who they date. It is incomprehensible to some that guys actually can choose who to date.
Although there are still women out there who will accept that. And I suggest you go find them and leave us alone.
Oh, I don't think that'll be a problem at all because it's almost like personality types similar to some that we've just seen are almost the very reasons why a lot of guys are choosing to remain single.
Why do y'all bring this up, that women are getting divorced? Like, it's like a bad thing.
Well, a failed relationship really isn't a good thing.
Every woman needs to get a divorce. How about that? Divorce everyone.
How about no? But anyone else notice this type of advice seems to be coming from the same types of individuals?
Y'all are just mad that women have the right to divorce.
Well, that was a stretch. I surely hope that didn't hurt.
So now you're like, well, women are the reason for divorce. Yeah, because men will settle as long as they got coochie at home.
Here at the generalization station, some are choosing to ignore the fact that, according to the most recent statistics, 31% of divorces are actually initiated by men.
Men don't stay with women out of love. Y'all go to work and talk about the ball and chain all the time.
It's actually rather impressive that someone can be so confident in what they say, yet get so much of it wrong.
Y'all settle. As long as you have a body to go home to, y'all will settle.
Actually, most men would rather be single than settle, but a lot of times they stay in those types of relationships because they're actually hoping to work it out, as opposed to just getting divorced because it's easier.
So women are divorcing because women don't need y'all. Women don't need y'all to buy homes. Women don't need y'all for a bank account.
No, try again. Most individuals get divorced because at the end of the day, it's just easier than putting in the work to be in a relationship.
Men don't call each other out because they're scared of each other.
Actually, a lot of men call each other out all the time over various things, but someone would actually know that if they actually listened to what men say instead of immediately disregarding it because it's men talking.
They're scared that the other person's going to beat their ass.
I mean, if a person's just going to make stuff up at this point, at least try not to be so obvious about it. It's showing.
Ask them about the prison bathrooms. That's like their biggest fear, to be in a shower with other men.
It's almost like that place is full of criminals. I wonder why anyone would be hesitant to go in there.
This is why men don't call each other out, because they're literally afraid of each other.
No, they're not. And even saying the word literally will not make it true, because most men, in fact, are not afraid of each other, and a lot of men actually call each other out all the time over all sorts of various different subjects. But some people are rather not prone to hearing that because they've immediately turned a deaf ear to anything men say and immediately disregard it because it comes from men. Feminism's come a long way.
Are you going to ruin this for me?
I absolutely have to.
Okay, I think I'm failing to see the issue here. Oh wait, it's that the guy doesn't make enough money. He makes the same amount of money as the woman, therefore that makes him apparently undateable. I mean, I could understand if someone didn't want to date someone that they work with. That's a perfectly understandable boundary that a lot of people set during dating. But really? So the guy has to make more money in order for the woman to date him. A lot of women do have very high standards when it comes to dating, and they want men to bring finances to the table. But I wonder, what do these women bring to the relationship other than just themselves? Because a lot of people will argue that that's enough. But if women have standards that they want men to bring something to the table other than just themselves, I think the same should be true in the opposite direction, don't you? So what do these women that have such high standards bring to the relationship?
Men like women with an excess of plastic surgery
No, they don't. Who told you that?
because they get off on the idea that a woman would put herself through anything just to be attractive to men.
That statement sounds like it actually came from a woman who actually had excess plastic surgery done and was actually trying to find ways to justify getting so much work done. But don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with getting cosmetic procedures done as long as it makes you feel better about yourself. That should be the reason why people get work done, not for the approval of others or so that they'll like them more. Because remember, ladies, most men prefer women with natural beauty and the confidence to let that show. No person should be getting cosmetic work done or wear excess makeup because they think other people will like it. That is something that a person should do for themselves, not for the approval of men or for the approval of other women.
And that's what some of these ladies out here are doing. Going and getting that stuff when a man is literally saying, I do not want this. And then all of a sudden, they want a man to listen to them when they say, I want a man that's communicating effectively, that's emotionally mature and emotionally intelligent. Well, I'm communicating effectively when I tell you I'm not really a fan of the makeup. You saying I look ugly? No, you look fantastic. But I don't want the makeup. Why is that so hard to understand?
Misandry cannot exist.
Right. Well, I can certainly understand why so many women out there, as well as some men, are in denial that misandry actually exists, because then they would actually have to take, heaven forbid, accountability of their own actions that they are displaying against an entire demographic of people based on characteristics that they cannot control. And after all, that's called being bigoted.
It's boy math.
Boy math. Right. But it's almost like there's a definition for misandry.
Bringing up the dictionary definition of misandry is pointless here.
Why? Because some out there don't seem to understand it? I totally get it, though. Actually having to acknowledge what a word actually means might mean having to take responsibility for some of the horrendous actions that have been put on display.
Because misandry does not exist.
Sorry, but in point of fact, it actually does. But I really do think it's adorable that some individuals think by saying something over and over again and remaining in denial will keep them from having to face any kind of accountability.
Women need to start charging for emotional damage.
Well, some women are already wanting to charge for their time, as it were. So this would be the next logical step, right?
My ex and I broke up. I told him that he owed me for wasting my time, and he sat there and he sent me an Apple Pay.
Well, that explains it. They were dating a man with no backbone, otherwise known as a simp.
If that man wasted your time, charge him for it.
Wouldn't it be easier just to advertise?
Because I guarantee you, he's probably going to pay you something.
Not if he has any sort of self-esteem. But then again, they might have a point, because the types of men that some of these women choose to date that actually think that they're going to get paid for their time don't actually want men that have self-esteem. They prefer the ones that are easily manipulated into getting to do what they want.
Baby, we are on a biological clock. Our time is very valuable.
I would say that a man's time is just as valuable as a woman's, which leads me to my next point.
Charge that man if he doesn't marry you.
Well, if we're going to view relationships as strictly transactional, then in the spirit of equality, men better start asking for compensation for all the time, energy, and money wasted on women that aren't interested in relationships.
This is a message to all the men. I'm telling you right now, the kind of girl you want to date is the one that hates all men.
Sounds like someone is trying to get a date. So this question goes out to all of those individuals out there, specifically the women who say that they don't like men, or would even go so far as to say that they hate men, you know, those admitted misandrists out there. Why exactly can't you find anything other to talk about than men? seems a little suspicious, actually, because most people, if they don't like something, they don't talk about it. They don't bring it up. But it seems to be the focal point of most of the conversations that I see out there is women saying they don't like men, but yet talking about nothing but all men all the time. If you were wanting to help women as much as you say you're wanting to help women, there are multitudes of topics that a person could be discussing to help women feel better about themselves, to improve their own self-esteem, to help them in any way in the world. But yet most of you choose to talk about nothing but men. Why is that? I'm sorry. No, wait, I'm not sorry at all. But if you're an adult and you don't actually know what your oil dipstick is or what it's used for, that's not just weaponized incompetence. That's a whole new thing altogether. That's glorified incompetence. So I initially just responded to this comment. And I said, because men are people, just like everyone else. And apparently that was so offensive that this person had to block me. What exactly was so offensive about my saying that men are people? It's almost as if some out there need reminding that men are people, and we shouldn't dislike them just because they're men. That really says a lot, doesn't it?
So I'm going to the ATM.
Okay, well, I gotta say, the text on the screen has me a bit curious.
Because I told my husband I need to go to the ATM, and he was like, okay, babe, go now before it gets too late.
Oh dear. So for those of you whose hint-taking skills are not quite up to par, do allow me to translate. The woman was hoping that the man would pick up on the hint that she wanted him to go to the ATM as opposed to her. And now she's just frustrated that he didn't get it, and now she is going to have to go by herself. So ladies, just a suggestion, if you are frustrated or disappointed that your man in your life does not understand or pick up on hints, don't be surprised. Most men don't pick up on hints because most men are used to direct forms of communication. So if you want him to do something, try just saying that. You'd be surprised how well effective communication actually works in a relationship if you actually say what you want as opposed to beating around the bush about it.
Can you imagine living in a house, being in a relationship with some of these ladies? They don't communicate. Each and every day, every single hour, every second of the day is another more elaborate game of hide and go seek, another more elaborate game of mind reader. This week's edition, this episode of Mind Reader, we're going to play Guess What I'm Thinking, Guess What I Want to Eat, Guess What Shoes I Want to Wear, Guess What Clothes I Want to Wear, Guess What I Want You to Say to Me, Guess What I Want You to Do Next. And the man, you know how stressful that would be to somebody?
So I saw something, which I'm going to show you in a second, but I wonder if anyone can guess what my instant reaction was.
Should men listen to women about what it means to be a good man?
And my answer is immediately and emphatically no. Main reason being, let's think about how well that would go over and how much sense that would make if a man suggested to a woman that she ask a man for how to act like a good woman. I bet that would go over like a lead balloon. And the other reason is, which women are they going to ask for advice from for how to be a good man? Because, quite frankly, they're rather spoiled for choice. There's some women out there that think that it's all men that are guilty of everything. And there's some women out there that wouldn't know a good man if they walked right up to them. And then there's some women that really have demonstrated that they don't understand a single thing about men. So, which women are these guys going to ask for advice on how to be a good man? Because honestly, being a good man is no more than being a good person. Start with that. That's how to be a good man.
Cheat on him.
Why?
If he cheats on you, you cheat on him back. There's no long paragraphs, there's no yelling, there's no crying.
How about just leave them? You know, take the high road instead of...
Go find his dad, his brother, his best friend. I don't care if you have to lie about it. You are going to cheat back.
So then both people will be wrong. Fantastic.
And you're going to make that a stipulation at the beginning of your relationship. You're going to say, if you cheat on me, I just want you to know that I will be cheating on you back, and anybody is fair game.
If a person's entering a relationship and expecting to be cheated on, they probably shouldn't be entering that relationship in the first place.
If it happens, which happens way too much, you get to follow through. You're not betraying. You're not betraying. You already set the boundary.
The scary thing is, this type of logic actually works for some.
You look them dead in the eye when you say, oh, by the way, I slept with this and this because I found out about yours, and you're walking out the fire. You're not going back. High road. It feels good to get revenge.
Instead of using your body as a tool for revenge against someone, how about keep your dignity and self-respect intact and just leave the relationship, like an adult?
Men are not attractive anymore.
Okay, why?
I'm not even talking about looks.
So, what are you referring to?
The fact that so many of them are not healed, not self-aware, can't connect emotionally, stuck at surface level because they don't know how to go beyond that. Like, they don't even know themselves, and they're constantly out here trying to chase the next best thing.
It's an interesting subject, isn't it? And we could go on for hours discussing who could possibly be to blame for all of this. Some would say it's the parents for not teaching their boys how to be in touch with themselves emotionally, while others would blame society for saying that men have to fall into certain categories and therefore it's not entirely their fault. But that's not really going to solve the problem, now is it?
Being emotionally unavailable, don't know how to express yourself at this big age is a complete turnoff. Like, take some time and heal. Go find yourself.
Okay, so the problem was put out there, but I didn't hear any suggestions of solutions on how men could get better. What programs are out there? What support systems do they have? What exactly is available for them to improve upon themselves so that they could be considered to be attractive again? Not that I think a lot of them are worried about that, but a person shouldn't offer up a problem without offering up a solution.
Y'all be cheating on y'all boyfriend and y'all get pregnant. Why do y'all tell us? Just let your boyfriend be the baby daddy. Just let it be what it is. You don't have to tell him nothing. And when he gets to question you, gaslight him. Like, so you really think this not your baby? And if you have to, even threaten him. Say, if we gotta do the DNA test, my baby not be your last name. Telling on yourself is a no.
The sad part is, this isn't an uncommon thought process among some women out there.
And I know some people are like, oh, well, your child deserves to know who their biological parent is. Do what's best for your child.
By setting a good example and being an absolute liar.
Some people don't have a daddy in their life at all, and it's their real daddy. It's about the man who stepped up to be daddy.
Stepped up? You mean manipulated into the position? Those are very different things. Didn't even give the guy a chance to step up. Just flat out lied so that you could get what you wanted.
Y'all just want to get on here crying on the internet because y'all chose the wrong baby daddy.
Maybe start being a little bit more particular who someone sleeps with. That should help.
Y'all want to talk about how this dude a deadbeat, but he was never in a relationship with you anyway. So did you really think that he cared about you? You really think that he would care about a child that came out of you?
But they probably still slept with him anyway.
Look, y'all ain't got to take my advice, but ask yourself, would he be honest with you?
Yeah, after seeing that, I couldn't blame some guys if they just wanted to stay single. Yikes.
For some of these women, unfortunately, they do silly things. They back themselves in the corner. And because they're not as educated as they say they are, they start thinking silly thoughts and they go with the dumbest, most extreme one. And guess who validates that? Their silly friends and their silly circle. Oh, yeah, that sounds right. And he better, and they've been lied to him the whole time. And then 15 years later, when the woman come up and say, well, I kind of did lie. Oh, well, girl, you had a good reason. Come here, give me a hug. I'm going to take you out for shots. For lying? For being conniving? For being a manipulator? You should have been diagnosed years ago. But because you have some women in the country that co-sign on this silly behavior that she was talking about, no one is ever truly held accountable.
It's been said that single women keep other women single. I would actually like to correct that a little bit. I would say that it's the unhappily single women that want to keep other women single. Because if a person thinks about it, you very rarely see someone who's in a happy, healthy relationship, or even happily single, out there disparaging all men, or giving really off-the-wall relationship advice. But we see that all the time from those individuals who seem very displeased in their social status of being single. But yet they try to play it off like they're the happiest person in the world, but their actions totally contradict that. So why exactly, if they're trying to convince others that they are so happy, would they be out there giving advice or bashing men, trying to convince other women to be single? And I think it comes down to the old adage, misery really does love company.
Men settle because they don't have standards, but it goes much deeper than that.
Oh yeah? How much deeper into the chasm of BS do we need to go? Let's find out.
Why are men more willing to settle into relationships with women that don't meet their standard?
Wait, I thought men didn't have standards. Which one is it?
Why do they lie about who they are? Why do they pretend to be stuff that they're not to get women that they really don't like?
I mean, you could honestly ask the same question of women, but that's not the topic of conversation here, is it?
And the answer is super simple.
So then, let's hear it.
There are more benefits for a man in a relationship with a woman than there will ever be for a woman in a relationship with a man.
Spoken like a person who unfortunately seems to view relationships as strictly transactional, which unfortunately is ever increasing in popularity.
I used to hear all the time, people don't fall in love with you, they fall in love with how you treat them. But for men, they fall in love with the benefits package that they get from having a woman.
No, they don't. But by all means, continue projecting one's own seeming personal experiences into everyone else's relationships.
They will literally lie and pretend to be whoever they need to be to get said woman to start benefiting their life. Single women have glow-ups, single men look like neglected houseplants.
Just an observation, but if those glow-ups were as successful as some want others to think that they were, there wouldn't be so many single women out there trying to keep other women single.
A man should be so self-aware that when he looks at you,
One can only guess where this is going.
he knows that if he has any chance, he needs to financially match your face. Like it's not even an option. You're too pretty.
Financially match your face? Can't make this up. Talk about just equating women to nothing more than their outward appearance. Yay, feminism.
Ever noticed that men like to take collective credit for other men's accomplishments?
It's like the word some is almost completely absent from some individuals' vocabularies.
But won't take collective accountability for other men's crimes?
But that doesn't make any sense. Why exactly would the entirety of a population take accountability for the actions that only a minority of that population are actually responsible for?
We should respect and submit to men because a few dead guys invented or built some shit.
Again, the types of men that make such statements such as those are not in the majority. They are in the unfortunate minority of men that do not seem to want to use any logic or reasoning when making such statements. I might also add that from that same pool of minority of men are where the majority of those who make generalizations about women come from. So, do consider the source.
But we shouldn't fear all men, even though the majority of violent crime is committed by men. Make it make sense.
Yes, let's do make it make sense, because unfortunately it seems that some don't understand how statistics work. Because although unfortunately the majority of those acts are committed by men, that does not mean that the majority of men commit those acts.
Women should have paid time off when they have their period.
How about no? Some of us women actually want to be taken seriously in this world, and statements like that really aren't helping.
A lot of straight men don't like consensual sex.
Wait, what? Let's hear that again. I'm sure I didn't hear that right the first time.
A lot of straight men don't like consensual sex.
Yeah, that's really what they said. But just wait, it gets better. They actually go on to explain what they mean.
That's why they call sexually liberated women easy.
Oh, don't worry, it gets better.
They'd much rather coerce you into having sex opposed to you immediately consenting.
Where are these ideas coming from? Because they're certainly not coming from any place based in reality. I mean, are they just pulling them out of the ether or some other location? Because it really sounds like most of these individuals that speak the most about what men want in a partner or what they want out of a relationship or what they want in general really seem to be the ones that know the least about the actual subject matter in which they speak. It's becoming blatantly apparent.
Just talking. Really just talking to be talking. Don't really have a lot to say. Stand in the camera. Look at her eyes. Stand in the camera, flat-footed. Posture straight towards the camera directly. So you know she's focused and intentional. So you know that everything that she's saying, she means to say. And unfortunately, what comes out of her mouth isn't all that great. Y'all be trying to paint men as predators? For what reason? Because of the dudes that you deal with? Because of a story that you saw at 10 p.m. at night on a true crime podcast? Get a grip.
Be careful about dating divorced men. No woman is divorcing a good man.
Except for when they do. Now, I know I'm not the only one who has seen any number of those videos out there of some women encouraging other women to divorce their husbands. And they even mention in the videos that the man could be a perfectly good man, but if that woman isn't currently happy in that relationship, get a divorce. It's the easy way instead of actually trying to work on a relationship. Because a lot of us know relationships take work, and some people just aren't cut out for it.
Especially when they have kids together. Yes, a lot of people grow apart and it's mutual.
And instead of working on and maintaining that relationship and improving it, it's easier just to get a divorce.
The majority of the time, she's divorced him for a reason.
And many times that reason can be perfectly valid. And then there's those instances where someone just doesn't want to put in the work.
Whatever he's done to her, he's going to do to you.
Interesting how they try to make it sound like it's always the man's fault, when it takes two. It takes two to make a relationship work, and it takes two to make a relationship fail. I really hope this is a joke, because no one who's an actual feminist would ever say such a thing. Because that's rather implying that women deserve special treatment and privileges just for being women. But feminism is about equality, right? So no one would ever say that who actually knows what feminism is about. They should just stand there happily and proudly to be treated as an equal to a man. Seats are supposed to be given up for people that actually need them out of courtesy, like individuals who are obviously disabled, pregnant women, or the elderly. You don't get a special seat or even a seat to be given up for you just because you're a woman.
Why are women called gold diggers, but there's not a name for men who only date attractive women?
Does this really have to be explained? Oh dear. So, most men typically only date those that they are attracted to. That's called normal. Some women will date a guy whether or not they're attracted to him or not, specifically because he has money. And that's why they are called gold diggers.
Misandry isn't a thing because misandry rarely, if ever, results in towards men.
Oh dear. So by this logic, as long as something doesn't cause large amounts of harm on a regular basis, it's not a thing. Right, but it's still okay to vehemently dislike someone based on characteristics that they cannot control. Good to know.
Misandry hurts men's feelings. Misogyny ends up with women being unalived by men.
I do believe that most rational people do acknowledge and understand that misogyny is wrong. After all, it is a form of bigotry, which, might I add, is misandry. But apparently it's okay to be a bigot as long as it's against men, because it only hurts men's feelings in some individuals' opinions, right? But unfortunately, that couldn't be further from the truth. Men do suffer from misandry, both physically and mentally. And if some individuals don't want to care about men's mental health and the unfortunate level of self-unaliving rates in the male population, well, then that's just fine. We'll just continue to push this narrative that misandry hurts no one except for men's feelings.
When a girl's not wearing makeup, you say, "You look beautiful." You don't say, "You look better without makeup."
Okay, I'm confused. What exactly was wrong with that statement? A lot of women say that they want their guy to be honest, right? So the guy was giving his honest opinion, saying that she looks better without makeup than she does with it. So what's the problem?
Because that's cringe.
Cringe. Yeah, of course it is. Why?
That's kind of like pick me if you were a man.
How? I mean, that would only be the case if he was saying something strictly for female validation in this case. But he's being honest, and if a lot of us really want to be honest with ourselves, most guys prefer little to no makeup or natural-looking makeup. So what's the problem here? How does that make him a pick-me?
Nobody cares because it's not your face. And that's just like a mean thing. It's not very nice to say.
Mean? By trying to say that she looks more beautiful without makeup than she does with it? What exactly is mean about that? I swear, some really just invent new ways to be offended.
If I end up in the happiest, most loving, healthiest relationship, married with kids, whatever it is, I can promise you I will still hate most men.
So what is the rational reason behind that?
And that is something that I genuinely don't think will ever change because there are so many men that treat women so badly.
So the rationale here is because of the actions of some men, they are therefore deciding to despise the majority. of men.
If I truly find one that is just like the outlier that genuinely treats me good and treats other women well, you're like, he's just one of the good ones.
One of the good ones. Interesting. That sounds like something else I've heard before.
That's not going to change my outlook on the majority of men and the way that they go about their lives in society.
Is anyone else picking up on the fact that this is the exact same logic that some individuals use to justify racism?
I truly don't care that I feel this way about them because I didn't create these feelings, they did.
So what they're saying is essentially they can't control their own feelings, nor their reactions to other people's behaviors.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Turn around. Full U-turn.
Compensation? For what? I have seen numerous videos like this where there are a lot of women actually saying the same thing, that they deserve compensation for the time that they give to men. It's no wonder that a lot of men are losing interest in dating, because I really wonder, what are some of these women thinking that they deserve compensation for? And why do they deserve compensation? A lot of them don't bring anything to the table other than their physical appearance. And quite honestly, most guys could get just as good as entertainment out of playing video games as they could engaging with conversation with any of these women. So what exactly are they getting compensation for? And do they not understand how bad that they're actually making a lot of women look in regards to, it seems to be a you have to pay to play scenario? Paying for dating? Yeah, no, there's a word for that.
As I continue to say, some of these women really think they are actors. They really think they're celebrities. Let me say it like that. They really think that just because I show up, just because I'm here, I deserve to be compensated. You're going to pay for my time. I think heard a woman say on one of her videos that she deserves to be compensated. Well, maybe not compensated, but a man, if a man doesn't, if he's not obsessed, in so many words, if he doesn't respect or bow down to your presence, then you don't need him. You need to block him. You're an experience. You are the experience. You are the main show. Who says that, man? Who says that type of stuff? Like, are we going to the movies? Am I buying a ticket to come see you? What is this? Let me not say you don't have anything going on, like your life isn't important. Let me just say, just like I have to prove myself to you, you have to prove yourself to me.
People think it's really picky that I'm not willing to date a single father.
Well, not necessarily. A person is, after all, allowed their own preferences while dating, but I think I would need to hear more.
It's like, if a woman took on the stigma of being a single mother rather than being with you,
Okay. Was not expecting it to go there.
like if she has a whole person with you and deemed you unworthy, why would I want to be with you?
Wow. Okay. So sometimes a man and a woman can be in a relationship together and happen to have a child, but sometimes those relationships just don't work out, and it can be the fault of neither person. But that doesn't necessarily mean that either of them considers the other one to be unworthy of being in a relationship with. That's quite an interesting stance to take.
And I guess the only maybe if you were a single father because your wife died, you're a widower.
Oh, so that would be the only time it's not the man's fault?
Like, Loki, how did she die, bro? Was it on a boat? Because if so, you did that.
Where's the guy with the red flag right about now? Because, yeah, he's needed. But I think a lot of single fathers will be very pleased to hear that some are not going to be in their dating pool.
You give an ugly guy a chance one time, and then he gets cocky and thinks that he can do better than you.
Maybe he can, because there's certainly more to people than just their looks. And in some cases, looks are all that person has.
Oh, then starts treating you like I'm sorry, I let you up into this league.
What league would that be?
Do you know how ugly you are?
Well, I can think of something that's possibly even uglier.
How much money should a guy make per year?
I don't think the first answer is going to surprise anyone.
200,000, I guess.
But the second answer...
Boyfriend makes like 30,000. 30,000? That should be way more.
What's wrong with $30,000? I mean, granted, it's not that much, but at their age, it's nothing to sneeze at.
I feel like that's like enough. He needs to make enough to spoil you and buy you everything you want.
Sadly, that's not an uncommon opinion among some women. They actually believe that a man spoiling them should be part of being in a relationship.
But like he works hard for it, so I don't really care.
And unfortunately, not enough women have that mentality.
No, it's enough. No, it's not. Why not? Because a man should be spending a ring on $30,000.
How much on a ring? It's becoming incredibly obvious that a lot of women out there are just interested in relationships for what they can get out of it financially.
I think money doesn't matter, so it does matter if you want a successful life. But we are successful.
I'd be willing to bet I can predict which one of these women will be in a relationship that's actually built on a stable foundation, and which one of them is only in it for the money.
Sorry, not to be a hater, but the male loneliness epidemic, who cares?
Apparently a lot of people do, or else there wouldn't be so many individuals out there making videos telling everyone how much they don't care.
Oh, yeah, what are you guys gonna do now? Pew pew up a bunch of schools? You already do that.
Yeah, very few people actually do that.
Oh, you gonna unalive your wife and kids? You already do that.
And again, they're talking about a very small percentage of the male population, but mentioning that wouldn't make a very good video, would it?
You're gonna terrorize nations? Already do it. Start a war? Did it.
I find it very convenient the fact that they left out all of those women rulers that actually started a multitude of wars, but I digress.
Destroyed economies? Did it. Destroyed democracies? Doing it now.
Wait, are they trying to imply that there's no women in positions of any power anywhere in the world that could influence those decisions? Okay.
We're not afraid. And now you guys are just lonely and we're still not afraid. So, sorry. Male loneliness epidemic, get the fuck out of here.
It's very popular right now to be a misandrist, and if a person was wanting to jump on that particular bandwagon, remember, all a person really needs to do is make a bunch of disparaging statements generalizing an entire demographic with no regard at all for the fact that most men actually happen to be good people that are guilty of none of the things mentioned.
I want segregation back.
Hold on, what?
I do, I want segregation back. But not from races, I want it from men.
Oh, well that's a relief. Wait, what did they say? From men?
Can we like have everything separate? Like, can we have like a separate gym? Can we have separate schools? Can we have separate like transit, like public transit, like only men take a certain public transit?
And what exactly would that accomplish? Does a person somehow think that that would make the somewhat strained relations between some men and women better by doing so? Oh my goodness, what a wonderful little dream that must be.
Like, I want segregation for men.
Because I'm sure that no interaction at all between the genders will definitely help with mutual understanding of each other. Right.
I don't want to share the fucking spaces with them at all.
Well, on the upside, I'm sure that there's a lot of them that share the same sentiments about some that I could mention.
I want to be segregated from men. I'm tired of seeing them. I'm tired of hearing them talk. I'm tired of looking at them. I'm tired of them taking up the same space as us.
It's just my opinion, but it's unlikely that misogyny will ever go away as long as there's messages like this out there that are rooted in misandry. It's very difficult for men to see women as equals when some women don't even seem to see them as people.
In my experience, women tend to hate men because of how badly they treat them, while men tend to hate women because they don't get to sleep with them or they don't find them attractive.
See, the problem with saying, in my experience, is that a lot of individuals have very limited experiences, or allow their own personal experiences to color how they see absolutely everything in the world because they're assuming that a lot of others think in the same way or behave in the same manner. I would actually argue that a lot of women probably do dislike men because they have been treated badly by men in the past. However, that's not a good reason to dislike an entire gender. But men, on the other hand, trying to say that men don't like women because they don't find them attractive or they can't sleep with them really is a gross generalization based on absolutely nothing other than conjecture and possibly wishful thinking, because men get treated just as badly by women as women get treated by men.
I think men don't like us because women have a choice whether they want to be broke or not.
Oh, really? And how's that?
If you're a woman and you broke, and you don't want to be broke no more, you can do one thing.
Get a job?
You ain't even gotta move a muscle.
Somehow I don't think they're talking about traditional work.
All you gotta do is wake up and like the dude that likes you a little more than you like him. And boom, you're gonna have a house.
Oh, they mean manipulate and use a guy for his money.
You set up for life. You good.
Sure. Until he loses interest in apparently that only one thing that woman has to offer.
But everybody knows by now you don't have to get anything you want out of men.
Right, because the guy is going to give you all of that stuff by virtue of a charming personality.
And hey, we didn't make the rules. We didn't choose this life. God gave us the vajayjay. So take it up with the creator.
I wonder, what's going to happen to all of these women when they run into a man that can't be easily manipulated by a pretty face and the promise of fun times? What are they going to do then? Sounds like some of them are actually going to have to find some skills that involve something other than the bedroom.
I'll say this for some of these ladies. If you guys would just be good people, like genuine good people, you like the guy, you take care of the guy. My God, is there a limit to what some of these men out here will do for you? Some of these guys out there, not even leading with their money, but they're eager. They're eager to make you happy. They're eager to, dare I say it, serve you. I want to open the door for you. I want to buy you all the things that you want. I want to buy that house for you. I want to have all these experiences. You said you want to go travel. I don't got all the money in the world, but I'm going to figure out how to make it happen. I work some overtime, do good, honest work. All I ask is that you appreciate me. All I ask is that you like me. But for some reason, for some of these ladies, that seems to be too much to ask.